All right, the PTA Global Motivation System. So what is this system? It's simply a set of tools and processes that are based upon the principles and strategies of human behavior and communication. Its purpose is essentially to provide you with a reproducible process to accurately and practically discover what a person's interested in, as well as what they prefer to do in their training program. So essentially what the PTA Global Motivation System is going to do is allow you to hear, see, and feel what will excite, sustain, and regulate a person's behavior. From the sciences standpoint, the supporting sciences for this motivation system for PTA Global come from the sciences of neuropsychology, neuroscience, human movement, metabolism, and even nutrition. Looking at the tools, there are two primary tools in the PTA Global Motivation System, and they include the Program Design Questionnaire, which we're going to refer to as the PDQ, as well as the Kaizen 6, the Trainer Self-Appraisal. So the PDQ, remember, is found in the Program Design Part 3 module within the questionnaire presentation that Bobby does. The Kaizen 6 is going to be found also in the Program Design Part 3 module, and it'll be in Personal Training Operations Part 2 presentation, again with our Bobby Capuccio. So let's look at these tools. What they are is a specific collection of questions that are designed to, 1, elicit an emotional response, and 2, provide you with an extensive amount of personal information that you will then later transfer into that person's exercise program. It'll be very important as we move along. Now there's 3 keys to healthy communication that Bobby talked about in Client Orientation Part 2. The first key is relationships. So remember, what you're about to enter in with a client is a relationship, and they must perceive you as being safe. And that's the importance that Bobby talked about of building rapport. You establish rapport, that creates trust, and trust leads to healthy communication. The second key is the primacy effect. There are 5 ways that you can have a primacy effect work in your behavior with your client. The intention that you have going into this, the confidence that you exude, the enthusiasm, the willingness to listen, which will be very important as we go through this whole questionnaire process, and then your presentation, your delivery back to the person. So what we're talking about, it's all about generating the most powerful first impression that you can deal with as you start talking with your clients or potential clients. The third key to healthy communication will be listening. Now, Bobby mentions 5 levels of listening. The first one was ignoring. Some of you may be doing that right now. The second one is pretending. We could be doing that as well. The third one is selective. The fourth is attentive. And the 5th level of listening is going to be empathetic. And that's the one that we want to focus on. That's being able to put yourself into the shoes of the person that's sitting in front of you and understand emotionally where they're coming from so that you can then glean what it is that they sense, they feel, and what they're trying to get from or expect from you and your services. So remember, the 5th level of listening is empathetic, and that's what we want to focus on here. Now let's get into the Program Design Questionnaire, or the PDQ. Now this was specifically developed to provide a very simple, reproducible process for structuring and delivering intimate communication between you and another person. It's how we establish rapport. The purpose of the PDQ, number 1, is to provide you with the ability to immediately establish that trust that we talked about for safe communication and rapport. It's a series of questions that reveal the person's goal, their preferred style of training, their level of ability, and the motivation behind their goal, which is going to be extremely important. The second purpose is to lead you directly to the program design tool that has over 840 pre-made training sessions in it. And that's going to be an extremely powerful immediate connection with you from a movement standpoint, as you can take this PDQ and transfer it right into a specific program for them. Now let's get into the structure of the PDQ. So the PDQ is comprised of 27 questions that is divided between 4 specific sections that are delivered in a sequential step. So there's step-by-step processes, and you'll notice that on the PDQ that you see. Step 1, there's 6 exploration questions, and they're all aimed at breaking the ice and obtaining the person's goal. So we want to find out what they want to do. Step 2, there's 6 criterion questions, and these are designed to obtain the person's preferred style of training. This is how they want to train. This is what they're going to tell you. This is how I want the exercises to look and how I would like to see my program laid out. Step 3 is going to be 4 investigative questions, and they're aimed at discerning the person's level of ability. This is what they're capable of doing in essence. And step 4, there's approximately 11 motivational interviewing questions that are designed to highlight the reason and motivation behind the person's goal. This is why they're in front of you. This is why they're going to do what they do. This will be essential for you to gather this information and make notations of it as you go through this questionnaire. Now, scoring is going to be extremely important for the PDQ because scoring is going to be able to tell you how to specifically lead someone to the program design tool. So to maximize the functionality of the PDQ and provide you with the best possible program, each step that we just discussed will have its own scoring mechanism. So in step 1, the goal, to decipher the client's goal, you want to use the Determining the Best PTA Global section at the bottom of the step 1 box. Then you're going to interpret the member's stated goal to a best fit for that particular category. So whatever they may say, whether it's tone and firm or they want to lean up, you're going to interpret that into the 4 major goals that you see there. Now, here's a special note, and here's some things you want to keep in mind. All of the programs have similarities. So whether it's lean body mass, wellness, weight loss, or sports conditioning, they all have similarities. So you really can't go wrong. However, each one will have a distinct look and feel to it. But just keep that in mind that even if you got the wrong goal interpretation, it's still going to have a very similar feel to what they were expecting or what you were hoping you were going to get. And in all honesty, it'll be much more important to have the right level of ability for the client and their preferred style than it will be the actual name of the goal. Now for step 2 in the style box, to properly score this section, you want to read the scoring for style section at the bottom of the box. To be categorized as a traditional or progressive client, the person must score a 5 out of 7 using the green questions or all of the questions in step 2 plus question number 3 in the step 1 box. So anything below a 5 is going to denote that the person is a hybrid. So if they get a 5, 6, or 7 in a traditional or progressive, that means they're traditional or progressive. Anything below a 5 means that that client is going to be a hybrid. Now, if you're ever in doubt and you're not really sure which one to pick, just pick a hybrid. That'll be the easiest one. That's kind of the default button. So pick a hybrid, and as you go through the exercises, you can simply ask them a few questions about how that exercise felt on a scale of 1 to 10. How did it feel for them, and how did it match what they would like to see? Based upon what they tell you, you may see that this person is more progressive, more traditional, or they liked it all, so they're hybrid. Scoring for step 3 in the level box is going to start by reading the point scoring for level section at the bottom of the box. So you'll notice that each one of the boxes at the bottom will have its own scoring mechanism. So you just have to read that. Each question in the level section, as you can see, has an associated numerical value from 0 to 2. Add up the points and obtain the value from all those questions. And then you're going to match that value to what you see in the specific level of ability box. As a precaution, if you're in doubt, always try to score the person 1 level lower than they may appear or you may think, and that way you can always raise them up later. It's going to be much more advantageous for you to raise someone up a level than to bring them down a level. Raising them up builds success or breeds success. Bringing them down may make them feel like a failure. And scoring for step 4, the motivation, there really is no scoring here. However, what you will find is that you're going to get a lot of what we call buzzwords from the PDQ. These buzzwords are their emotional attach words. It's what they really are responding to and how they say it. So look at what they say, the terminology that they use, as well as how they're saying it. What did their body language do? Did their eyes get real big and they got excited? Did they touch a part of their body? Because that'll indicate that there's a very true emotional connection there. So remember, this section tells you what the why is, why that person wants to reach this goal, and why they're going to be training with you. So pay very close, and then you want to pay real close attention to the very last question there, because this question, they're going to tell you exactly what they want from you. When you say, how do you believe I can help you? They're going to let you know. Listen to that empathetically and then transfer that into the program, especially if you go right onto the floor immediately after this. Now let's look at a couple tips. There's 3 major tips we want to go through when you use this PDQ. Tip number 1, pay attention. Just want to reiterate that. Use your empathetic listening. The member should be doing most of the talking, so refrain from trying to add your own stories or additional information. The number one mistake that trainers make going into this, whether they're beginner or even if you're an advanced trainer and you've been doing this for a long time, is we tend to try to create a conversation versus allowing the conversation to unfold. So we try to add in our tips and we add in our own stories, and we want to say, oh yeah, I've done that too, and oh yeah, I've seen that move. That's not necessarily the best rapport builder in the initial phases. That'll come down the road. So make sure that you're listening, they're doing the talking. Number two, the buzzwords. Like we said, pay very close attention to what words they use. Don't try to interpret their words and rephrase them in your own terminology. Use their terminology. A lot of times people say, I want to lean up or I want to tone up. Use lean up and tone up because that's the words that emotionally connect with them until that changes later on in your relationship. Also, what you'll find is in this section, you'll see that there's a report version of the PDQ. So while we have the one page with the 4 boxes, there's a written version that you can actually write down, and it's through a series of pages that go vertically. And at the end, there'll be a specific box that has buzzwords. Use that box to write down some of the buzzwords that you noticed, and or even make notations about was there some type of facial expression or body language that they use when they use that word. And that'll be a great hint and indicator of things that you can use later on and that you can transfer back into their program. And please, in that text, refer back to the whole summary chart and how you can use the PDQ effectively, because it'll run through all those healthy communication tips that we talked about. It'll give you the purposes behind the PDQ, and it'll walk you through the specific structure, scoring, and tips for all of the steps in the PDQ. So really refer back to that effective box for the PDQ in the summary section. Now let's move to the Kaizen 6. And what the Kaizen 6 was designed to do is to have a structured, reproducible method for sustaining the intimate and open, honest communication from your clients. So the PDQ establishes that trust and rapport for the most part. And then the Kaizen 6 is something that you can use to continually perpetuate and sustain that good, healthy communication that you have. In essence, what it does is it provides a checks and balance system between you and your client. The purpose of the Kaizen 6 is it's a very systematic process for obtaining feedback from your client about your services. It's a self-appraisal questionnaire that will now hold you accountable to your client. In essence, they get to evaluate you. And this will be very helpful for you, especially if you empathetically listen to what they say, and then you modify what you're doing with them based upon that. It's an absolute winner, win-win situation for really enhancing communication and building that relationship as you go forward. Let's look at the structure of the Kaizen 6. As it's appropriately named, there are 6 main questions. Now, there are a couple of sub-questions that you'll notice, such as confidence scales in question 5 and an open-ended why question in question number 6, but there's 6 main questions. And the questions essentially provide us with 2 main pieces of feedback. What the client is looking for, or what the client is liking so far, and then what they would like to still see happen. So the 2 things are, what do they like right now, what's going good so far, and then what have we kind of missed the mark on and what can we do a little bit better with? Okay, now let's look at the notations component. So at the bottom of this document, you're going to see the Kaizen 6 results box. On the left side is the enjoyments. This is the area that you're going to write down what this person is enjoying about their sessions. On the right side is the improvements. This is the area that you want to write down what areas you can improve on as their fitness professional. The next Kaizen 6 self-appraisal date, that section is where you physically want to write in what the next date for your next Kaizen 6 self-appraisal will be. And that's so you know and you can confirm with the client when you're going to do this next. Now, you don't have to let them know. It could be something that you do. And there is no specific time frame. It doesn't have to be every 4 weeks. It could be every week. A lot of times you may do this even every session, depending on who your client is and how often that you see them. And again, with the Kaizen 6, there's a summary box that you're going to want to refer to that has all this information that we talked about in a very simple table. So it'll have the keys to healthy communication again. It'll talk about the purpose, the structure, and the notations, and have the quick hitters that you can take away with if you need. So in conclusion, what we have through the PTA Global Motivation System are two key tools, the PDQ, the Kaizen 6. What you're going to get from the PDQ is you're going to find out the person's goal in their terminology. You're going to find out their preferred style of training, how they want things to show up, what types of exercises they want to see, what they want the workout to feel. So pay attention closely to that. You're going to get their level of ability. What are they capable of doing? This will tell you how much you can do or how little you can do with someone. And then that last box in step number 4 is going to be the motivation. Why are they there? This is where you're really going to establish a connection, and this is why it's specifically put at the end. So all of the questions are linked and synchronized in a specific sequence to break the ice, get some information, maybe create some laughter, which is going to be a connection, and then get down to the nitty-gritty of why this is so important to you. What would happen if you don't achieve these goals? What's going to happen when you do achieve these goals? And that's where they really start to think. Don't be surprised if you get people who get teary-eyed. That means that you're connecting emotionally with them. That's okay, and it's going to be very powerful. Don't be surprised if you get people that are laughing and that's what you want. You want to see that emotional change because that's what's going to create and establish that rapport and trust. If someone's willing to do that in front of you, they trust you. They have a much higher level of rapport with you, and that's going to transfer into a very healthy relationship, and you're already setting yourself up for better retention. When you get to the Kaizen 6 and you start using the questionnaire, regardless of how you use it, and we're going to go over in different sections how you can specifically use components of it or as a whole, that's going to, again, like we talked about, sustain that healthy relationship. You're going to draw the client into the program. You're going to draw them in by asking them their feedback. What did you like about what we're doing? What have I not done that you would like to see me do more? When you start asking questions like that, they realize that you're being open and honest and you're willing to take some information and take some criticism. But when you manipulate that and you change that in their program and you make the changes that they're asking for, you've just told that person, 1, you're empathetically listening to me, 2, you care enough to change about me, you care enough about me to change for me, and 3, you're delivering me a very optimal experience. And that's what this is about, is creating a very enhanced member experience, because that's one of the number 1 reasons why people leave a club or they stop training. It's the member experience. They're not getting what they feel they should be getting, or they're not being met where they feel that they should be getting met. And that's not because the exercise equipment was bad, and it's not because the gym was bad, it's because there wasn't an emotional connection. So in conclusion, it's that emotional connection, that intrinsic motivation that we're trying to get after, that you'll perpetuate using the motivation system. And that's the power behind what will then build into the movement system that we have, the client screening process, and the programming. This will also translate as we get into the group training aspect, because all of these feed off of who the client is, why they're here, and how they want it to look for who they are. So enjoy the rest of this, take that information, and now start to apply it.